What do you know? 2 straight days talking about Evan Bouchard of the Edmonton Oilers. Yesterday, it was in a video commentary talking about Montreal Canadiens defenseman David Reinbacher. Today, he gets his own conversation. Because today, we are diving into the what-ifs, the maybes, the almost of the hockey world. Because today, what I wanted to do was refer to a talking point shared by Elliotte Friedman during his appearance on the Fan Hockey Show. This is Sportsnet's Matt Marchese and former LA Kings executive Mike Futa going around on Sportsnet 590, the Fan's national hockey show, airing live across the country daily from 12 to 2 Eastern Time. One of the recent episodes with Elliotte Friedman goes out there and reveals some very interesting information. It was from September 22nd, and I'll leave a link in the description if you want to listen to the podcast yourself. You might be wondering, how in the world does this relate to Evan Bouchard? Bouchard is an Edmonton Oilers defenseman who was signed on till the end of 2029, making $10.5 million a year. He didn't sign long-term with the team. Oh no, only 4 years. But Bouchard's impact on the ice has been very obvious from a point production standpoint, a consistent over-point-per-game guy for the Oilers in the postseason, and a player who at one point was an 82-point in 81-game guy in the regular season. Last year, he dipped to 67 points in 82 games, so yeah, not as good as before, but still. I think any team would want a 67-point defenseman on their squad, no matter how good or bad their defensive capabilities actually are. With this in mind, though, Elliotte Friedman did take his time to talk about the latest in regards to Evan Bouchard and some information we might not have known from beforehand, which relates to Bouchard's contract. This is an article on yahoosports.com that dives into how an Eastern Conference team threatened to sign Bouchard to an offer sheet. Let's scroll down and read the quote from Friedman, courtesy of the Fan Hockey Show. The offer sheet. Even though they didn't happen, they were out there. You know, the one team that didn't seem altogether bothered about Gavin McKenna, and there were a lot of teams that were, was Carolina. They threatened to offer sheet Evan Bouchard, and he got signed in Edmonton before July 1st because of it. And they threatened to offer sheet K'Andre Miller, and they got him in a trade, Friedman said. My goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, so what exactly does that mean? There's a lot to unpack there. Friedman talks about how Carolina wasn't scared of the Gavin McKenna conversation. What does he mean by that? Well, the article dives into it here. The vast majority of the NHL was simultaneously hesitant to even considering using their 2026 first-round picks on an RFA in an offer sheet because of the potential to land Gavin McKenna. Friedman revealed during his appearance on the Fan Hockey Show, though, that Carolina was not shying away from doing that whatsoever. It seems like the Hurricanes weren't really thinking about Gavin McKenna at all. They were just like, yeah, we got a first-round pick. Let's use it. Let's try to get an offer sheet done. Let's try to get one of the top defensemen in the league in points and scoring, and we'll threaten to send a contract his way to try to get it done. Sorry, Edmonton, we're gonna do this. And it spooked Edmonton so much that they were like, oh damn, let's just sign Evan Bouchard to a contract now so he doesn't even have the opportunity to get that contract offered to him from Carolina. It's almost like the Oilers were bullied into making that trade in the first place. And that is quite hilarious when you think about it, honestly. I think there were a lot of folks that sort of thought to themselves when the signing was announced that Evan Bouchard might be making a little bit too much money when you compare him to some of the other defensemen around the National Hockey League. Now, sure, the cap is rising, so you can't necessarily say that it's that bad. And honestly, I feel like with all these other players getting higher dollar amounts too, I think it kind of fits with the times. But you just gotta think, man, like Bouchard's making more money than Cale Makar, he's making more money than Fox, he's making more than Quinn Hughes, he's one of the top paid defensemen in the NHL now. Yes, it's only like that because he had his contract signing recently. Quinn Hughes, for example, was signed a couple of years ago, But there still is that certain connotation when you say, yeah, Evan Bouchard's making that much money. And there were a lot of folks that said, yeah, okay, he's worth it, I guess, but that's a lot of dough. And now we're starting to learn that, yeah, no, maybe the Oilers weren't really too keen on giving him that money. They just allowed themselves to do it because they were scared Carolina would do it instead. We know the Hurricanes don't like to spend extra money. And I guess it's for things like this. In order to get that offer sheet potential on the table, they're always trying to save their dollars to try to get somebody like a Nick Ehlers or whatever in free agency. They don't really like to shell out money on the guys that they have in their system unless their names are Jesperi Kotkaniemi, which is why there was an entire Sebastian Aho situation with an offer sheet a few years ago. Aho essentially used Montreal to do the negotiating for him. He wanted to stay in Carolina, but he signed the contract with the Habs knowing the Canes would match it, just because the Canes wouldn't want to give him that money in the first place. So for Evan Bouchard, Carolina has been involved in a bunch of these offer sheet situations. Kotkaniemi, Aho, seems like they wanted to get involved with Bouchard and K'Andre Miller. It is intriguing to me as well that K'Andre, they just said, screw it, you guys are going to sign him or not? Because if you're not going to sign him, we want him. We want to be able to sign him. And that's exactly what they did. They signed K'Andre Miller to a $7.5 million AAV deal until 2033. That's a long freaking dollar amount, man. And sure, it was a sign-and-trade deal, so New York technically had to be the team to sign it, but Carolina was right in there. I guess Nick Ehlers and K'Andre Miller were the two guys they were coveting the most post-Evan Bouchard availability when you consider just how scared Edmonton seemed to have been to not want to make that happen. But would it not be so hilarious, though? Like, think about it. Edmonton loses Holloway and Broberg to offer sheets one year, and then the next year they lose Evan Bouchard? Like, that would be crazy. Say what you want about whether or not the Hurricanes would have been able to afford it, but if Carolina came knocking on Bouchard's door saying, hey, here's 11, here's 11.5, we'll give you 3 years so you can re-up in 20 whatever it is, and then you can get even more money. Does that not sound super realistic to anybody else? Like, that could have honestly happened. And yes, there are a number of things that I think would damage Evan Bouchard's game if he were to go over to Carolina. I just don't think he fits with their run-and-gun, high-intensity, high-pace style. Evan Bouchard is like the total opposite of that. He'll take his time, he'll be slow on the power play, he's slow when he skates, he's slow when he moves, and he is lackadaisical sometimes. I just don't know if Evan Bouchard would be the perfect guy to play in a Rod Brind'Amour system. But then again, you also have to ask, like, is Rod Brind'Amour's system even valued at this point? Is that the system they're going to go and continue with? I think that's a conversation for another day. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about this Evan Bouchard offer sheet scare situation? What are your thoughts on Carolina threatening to send an offer sheet Evan Bouchard's way, one that would have rivaled whatever it is Edmonton could have given him? And how do you feel that the Oilers essentially got spooked into signing their own guy sooner because they didn't want to be a victim of yet another offer sheet in 2025? If you enjoyed this video at any point, please feel free to click the like button. If you did not, then hey, the dislike button is there for you too. Please click that as well. The comment section helps us out with the algorithm. I really appreciate all of your discussion. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.